Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the Wear Many Hats podcast. I am your host, Mark Robinson. No, I'm not going away. I'm going to be here forever. Talking about facilities management and looking to take on the next generation of facilities management professionals. As ever, please like, follow and share the page on LinkedIn. We now have 932 followers. We want to get to that 1,000 and then we want to get to the 2, the 3, the 4. The only way that we can do that is if you support the podcast and help us out. Anyway, we have such an exciting show for you today. We have managed to pull a right coup. We have got one of the titans of facilities management sitting across from me today. Welcome, Mr. Tim Birley, who is currently a strategic FM advisor at Savills. Hello, Tim.
Hi, Mark.
How you doing?
I don't think I've ever been called a Titan before, but...
Titan. I was thinking about it on the training. I was trying to get in Zeus and the Titans and how the Titan eats Zeus, and I was trying to create a story about it, but I couldn't figure it out.
I'll take Titan any day, mate. Yeah.
Titan's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Anyway, Tim, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Cheers, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. You having a nice day?
Yeah. It's not been a bad day.
Have you been busy?
Yeah. Back-to-back meetings.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a normal day, to be quite honest, Mark.
A normal day in facilities management.
A normal day in facilities management heaven, yes.
Fantastic. Heaven. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Okay, brilliant. Well, listen, Tim, I always like to start with a nice, easy question. So talk to us a little bit about your career, because I know that you kind of ended up in FM in quite an interesting way.
Yeah, almost by accident, really.
Yeah.
I left school, 16, went to college, trained to be a chef.
Right.
Did that for a year. Suddenly the realisation of working 80 hours a week for less than £20 a week didn't become quite so enjoyable.
I'm not doing that.
Admittedly, that was in the mid-late 1970s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, left there after a year. Went and got a job as a booking office clerk for British Rail.
Oh, really?
As it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And my wages went from £19.90 a week up to £45 a week.
Wow, that's a jump, isn't it?
Oh, mate, I didn't know what to do with all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Quids in.
Yeah. So that's why the rail companies make no money.
Absolutely.
They're paying 18-year-olds a handsome salary. That's what it is.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
And then while I was there, one of the guys I was working with decided he wanted to join the army.
Right.
But he was too nervous to walk through the front door of the recruiting office.
Right.
So I said, I'll go along there with you, mate, and I'll back you up. We went in. I fell for all the sales patter that
see the world.
that the platoon sergeants and everything were saying, the recruiting officers.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what, I'll do the test papers and just see
how I get on. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I got in the army, and my mate didn't because he had acne on his back. And
is what they stopped for acne on the back?
Yeah, because he meant he couldn't serve in a temperate climate.
Oh, okay.
He would be a health risk.
Right.
So yeah, he couldn't do it.
Well, that's a shame.
I got in. I went to the Army Selection Centre that was in Lichfield. And they gave you all these slideshows on what different parts of the army did. And I'd always decided I wanted to be in the REME or the RCT. I wanted to drive a truck or I wanted to fix trucks.
Yeah.
And they give you all these isometric tests and everything like that. I was absolutely crap at all that. Couldn't do any of it.
Yeah.
I'd always been quite good at numbers.
Yeah.
And they showed this slideshow of this Royal Army Pay Corps team on a beach in Cyprus. I thought, you know what, that's for me.
Yeah.
2 years later, I was on that beach in Cyprus.
Really?
In the Royal Army Pay Corps. Yeah. So
So you went in as an accountant, effectively, that kind of role.
I was a military accountant, Mark.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got promoted through the ranks.
Yeah.
Ended up as a staff sergeant.
Right.
And left after 12 years, 324 days.
Wow. Do you miss it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny, you look back and you don't you don't tend to dwell on the darker times when you were maybe digging in on Dartmoor or Salisbury Plain or something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to dig through chalk and everything like that.
Yeah.
Forget about that.
Yeah.
But you remember the nights out with your mates and
the camaraderie, the relationships, and things like that. Yeah.
Camaraderie is immense.
Yeah.
One of the things that they say the difference between being a civvy and a squaddy is if your mate's got 50 quid and you've got nothing, you both go out.
Yeah. True.
In the civvy street, if he's got 50 quid, you've got nothing, he goes out twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
At all.
Yeah, well, I'm ex-Navy, so I would agree with that. Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
Don't laugh, will you?
I won't say anything.
Let's not start up the old Matlow argument. You know what I mean?
So yeah, left the army on 31st of December 1992.
Right.
And went to work for my old man,
right,
who was an archaeologist up on Hadrian's Wall.
No, right, okay.
And I went there as finance officer for the Vindelander Trust, which is what he worked.
Okay.
He ran. After about a year or so, he called me into his office, and he said, "You don't enjoy working for me, do you?" I went, "Not really."
Yeah.
He said, "I don't really enjoy you working for me either." And so I left that day.
Yeah.
Literally, it was, we just decided, let's have a part in other ways.
That's fair enough. We're all amicable, though, I'm guessing. Sort of.
Families. It's a funny thing, isn't it, working for family? It either works
or it doesn't.
Absolutely brilliantly or it doesn't. I've known lots of people who work for family. Yeah, and it works really well. Yeah, and then others, it's just poison.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite just poison, but it didn't work.
Yeah, we've had a few people on the podcast actually that have had similar experiences. We had a Canadian gentleman not that long ago actually that really didn't like working with his family and things like that. So it's quite interesting how some enjoy it, some don't. Different dynamics.
Yeah.
I suppose.
So I then did a whole load of different jobs. I worked in a paint factory.
Right.
I did white lining.
Oh, yeah, on the roads.
Yeah, not the Robbie Fowler type white lining,
right?
But the thermoplastic going on the roads.
Yeah. It's good money that as well, isn't it?
Really good.
Yeah,
money.
really good.
I earned and spent
some really good money.
I earned and wasted some really good money. And I worked as a war pensions rep for Royal British Legion.
Really?
Yeah, so appearing at pensions tribunals.
Oh, wow.
Representing former soldiers, war widows, things like that. That was quite an emotionally...
Yeah, I imagine you saw some really, or at least heard some very
I
horrific stories.
I can always remember one at a tribunal up in Leeds. And it was an old guy in his 70s, ex-guardsman, ramrod straight back, like that. Yeah. Breaking down in tears, telling us about the experiences he'd had as a Far East prisoner of war at the hands of the Japanese in Singapore and everything. But so much job satisfaction when you actually manage to beat the Department of War and Pensions and get an award for somebody. So that was great.
Did that happen more often than not then, or was it...
Do you know what? You get in the tribunal sometimes and you always had a medical, a legal and then a lay person on the bench. And quite often the rep from the DWP that we were up against, you could tell that they knew they were on a losing case straight away, and actually they didn't even try that hard to push it.
So they understood it as well. They could tell.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they'd look at the case paperwork and not be able to understand why the DWP had turned down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, quite often, it was how you managed to bring that case out of the person who you were representing, because sometimes it isn't just all black and white.
No,
it's you've got to draw out that personal stuff.
There's shades of grey within the story that you need to try and bring out. How long did you do that for, Tim?
About Probably 15 months or so.
So was that quite rewarding then?
It was rewarding. It was quite emotionally
draining.
Yeah,
I imagine it would be like listening to that kind of stuff.
So then I got out of that and went and worked in bars.
In bars?
Bars, yeah. I was
It's a northerners. That's a dream job.
Well, it gets better. It gets better because I was working in a working men's club.
Oh, mate. Oh, my God.
So, started off working just behind the bar with a mate in a working men's club.
Sounds great to me. Cheap pints,
yeah.
dartboard.
Oh, yeah.
Comedian every Friday.
LCL lager,
right,
which was described as love comes later. 50 pence a bottle.
Yeah. McEwen's? Was McEwen's on draft?
No.
Right.
It was all fed.
Was it?
Brewery, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, in between Newcastle and Carlisle.
Yeah.
So the Fred
so a bit of Newquay Brown Ale in that then?
Oh, there was a fair bit of Newquay Brown Ale there.
That's a juice and a half, isn't it?
Okay, so I did that for a bit. Then I went to work in a hotel.
Yeah.
And ended up managing the hotel.
Right.
And then went and managed a working men's club myself.
Right.
And then, as yet another relationship broke down, I headed down to London.
Fair enough.
As you do.
Yeah.
I tend to end up in London after every divorce. And I've had 3 of them. So, ended up in London.
Yeah.
Got a job driving a London bus.
Oh, really?
Worked for Sel Kent out of the Catford garage. Yeah, drove.
I know the Catford garage.
Do you?
Yeah. I used to live not too far from Catford, actually. I used to live in Thamesmead.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Not too far. I know Catford quite well.
Yeah. Well, my ex-brother-in-law worked for Stagecoach.
Oh, really?
And so I got a job with there.
Yeah.
Possibly the worst job I've ever had in my life.
Honestly?
Oh, it was awful. Do you know what? Actually, driving a bus around London's fine. You have to stop and pick people up. That's the problem. Yeah. Yeah, my sister used to be a London bus driver when they had the old route masters.
Oh, yeah.
And she was driving along and she said one day, she went, all these people waving at me. So I kept driving past. And she realised that actually they were waving for her to stop. But yeah, no, I did that. And I was in a house share with a couple of other guys. And one of them worked for King Sturge.
So now this is how the facilities management element comes along.
Yeah. I just fell into it. I mean, we got on well. He knew I wasn't enjoying doing the buses.
Yeah.
And King Sturge had a vacancy for a site manager up in North Acton.
Right.
The Victoria Industrial Estate.
Yeah.
That was right next door to one of the worst council estates in London.
Oh, God.
And it was challenging. They didn't have anybody on site. They needed somebody on site. I took on that.
So you kind of started as a building manager then, effectively? That was kind of...
Yeah. There was one sort of multi-let building that I was based in. And then with sort of 40, 50 industrial sheds on the same site.
Right.
And we managed to calm it down, managed to install all sorts of different security systems and things like that. And life for the residents on the estates
became better.
Improved.
Yeah.
And at which point I took on a small portfolio of sites in addition to that around London. Then basically handed that site over to somebody else and took on a portfolio of 20 odd.
Wow.
Mainly industrial properties.
Yeah.
Sort of almost in a ring around the M25.
Oh, really?
Did that. Then went on holiday. Met wife number, can't remember, in Mallorca.
Yeah.
She came from Leeds.
Right.
So I then transferred up to Leeds with King Sturge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good town, Leeds. I like Leeds.
Yeah, we used to live near the Irish Centre.
Oh, did you?
On York Road.
Yeah, I used to live in Headingley for a period of time.
Oh, posh area.
Well, I wouldn't call it
posh.
I wouldn't call it. There was about 27 of us in a flat, Tim. So back when I was a young lad. To be fair, it was not posh. To be fair, we had a good time. To be honest, I had a good laugh there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I loved that. I had a whole sort of really varied portfolio from pretty much Sheffield up to Newcastle.
Yeah. So that whole sort of northeastern block, then, really, up there. Okay.
Which was great for me, having come from the northeast.
Yeah.
As well. I loved that. Whilst I was there, I did my NEBOSH.
Oh, right.
And got to work quite closely with a health and safety consultancy that we used.
Yeah.
SM and MS.
SM and MS.
Or M&Ms, as people used to know them as.
It's a bit easier, isn't it?
Safety Management and Monitoring Services.
Yeah. Would you be an advocate of people coming into the facilities management space getting things like their NEBOSH, their IOSH? Is that important? Can it help them?
I think IOSH is a must-have.
Yeah.
NEBOSH, I think, ticks a box in the fact that it is a formal qualification. A lot of people have a lot of knowledge about health and safety, or think they have a lot of knowledge about health and safety, but you need that formalised qualification, I think. I think the problem with NEBOSH, which they've changed slightly over the years, is the fact that you can know what the answer is, but if you don't answer it the way NEBOSH want it answered, you won't get the marks for it. And I've got one of my team at the moment going through NEBOSH, and he failed it first time round.
Yeah.
And he fell into too much the trap of, right, NEBOSH want me to answer it this way, so I'll answer it this way.
Yeah.
And actually, in actual fact, he'd gone too far, and you've got to have that sort of
that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd done my NEBOSH, and actually those were the days where you had 2 written exams plus a practical exam. You had to score 45 on each of the written papers, and then something like 70% on the practical. I think I got 90-something% on the practical. I got 46 on paper 1.
So just scraped it.
49 on paper 2.
Right.
And I got my results through, and I thought, this is crap.
Yeah, but you passed, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's that price. I'm gonna retake that again. I want a better score than that.
Really?
And then I found out that only 2 of the 15 people on the course had passed.
Oh.
And I went, right, I'll stick with that.
Yeah. I've got it.
Quite happy I've got the pass.
Yeah.
Never have to take another resit or anything for NEBOSH.
But that having that qualification has clearly helped you as your career's progressed.
Yeah, it opens doors.
Yeah.
And I mean, it gave me the opportunity to go and work for the health and safety consultancy. And I was going in as a health and safety consultant.
Yeah.
But just after I joined, they lost one of their fire safety consultants. So I went off and then specialised.
So you specialised in fire
safety. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because that's an entire different ballgame, isn't it? When we're talking fire.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I suppose the principles are still the same.
Yeah.
What's interesting as well is if you have a fire risk assessment done and you get whatever actions and everything like that, you deal with those, you get a different consultant coming along the next year who'll pick up a totally different set of issues because they have a different bias of
different viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, my thing that I was all about compartmentation.
Yeah.
If you can contain.
Yeah.
Firstly, if you can prevent the fire from happening.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah,
is probably the best way.
Yeah.
But if something does break out, if you've got proper compartmentation in place, then it's not going to spread.
Yeah.
Whereas others, their thing may be on fire alarm systems or means of escape and things like that. But yeah, no, it was an absolute eye opener for me.
Yeah, I bet.
I absolutely loved it. I did it for about 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the regulations regarding fire have changed, haven't they, post-Gren?
Massively. Yeah.
So
Especially on the resi side.
Yeah. So managing agents have had to do a lot of work, haven't they, to get themselves up to spec to ensure that everything's...
Yeah, and I mean, I can remember when I joined Savills 15 years ago, our health and safety team was 2 people.
Oh, really?
Head of health and safety and health and safety admin.
Yeah.
And now there's a team probably about 15 or 20.
Yeah.
Because obviously so many things have happened.
Yeah.
And a lot of fire safety legislation has all been driven by incidents, accidents, events.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Bradford fire, whether it's Grenfell, etc.
Yeah. So the Bradford one was the football club, wasn't it? Yeah. That's when they stopped smoking in inside areas.
Yeah,
Things like that.
Discarded cigarette in the stands.
That's crazy. I saw pictures of it, and I think I watched a video as well. I mean, that went up like,
oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's always gets shown on any fire safety training.
Yeah. Okay,
but there's also, I mean, there's another video where they've got some guy, some little miscreant, walking into to a corner shop and lighting a box of matches and sticking them in with a display of packets of crisps.
Right.
Yeah, and you see how quickly that goes up.
Really?
Yeah.
So crisps go up real quick as well?
The packaging.
Oh, yeah, I suppose, just... Oof. Yeah, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
So, getting back to my...
Yes, I do apologise.
That's okay.
We get sidetracked. We get sidetracked.
Yeah, we like a bit of sidetrack.
That's the whole point of a podcast. We yapping.
So I did that for about 5 years. And for some crazy reason, I was itching to get back into facilities management.
Yeah.
I was doing the majority of the Savills fire risk assessments in and around London.
So there were links there already?
Alex Reynolds persuaded me to put my CV in. He's gutted that he never actually got the referral fee for getting me in. Yeah. That went to Claire McMahon, who was the health and safety advisor, who I'd known previously.
Yeah.
I went from the crazy situation of going out there and doing fire risk assessments and handing them over to people to then solve all the issues that I picked up.
Yeah.
To actually being that person who
had to solve them.
Well, quite often of the risk assessments that I'd written as well. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what on earth did I write this one for?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to sort this out now.
Right.
Joined Savills 6th of April 2009.
Right, okay.
So, literally just completed 15 years service a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed.
And you've had various roles within Savills as well, haven't you?
Yeah, that's changed a lot. When I joined Savills, there were 13 regional facilities managers dotted around the UK. And when I joined, you joined as a regional facilities manager. Yeah. There was no promotion structure in place or anything like that. You would stay however long you were going to stay, and then you'd leave as a regional facilities manager. Yeah. I was very lucky that there were some progressive people within the business who thought we need to have the same structure, same opportunities as the surveying side have. And I was just lucky I was in the right place at the right time.
Well, there must have been an element of skill and capability there, Tim. There has to be. You can't just put it down a look.
Very kind of you to say. I think you're probably totally wrong, but... it was a period of massive growth for Savills. Myself and Alex took over running the team probably about 6 or 7 years ago. So I probably had 6 or 7 years as a regional facilities manager. Yeah. Then associate director, heading up London and the South. Yeah. And I
guess that during that period as well, I mean, there was an explosion of growth as well, wasn't there, within that period?
Massive growth.
So a lot of change, a lot of...
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I handed the team over 15, 16 months ago.
Yeah.
And we'd grown from 13 to 130.
Wow.
130 is a big old team.
That is a big team, yeah. Yeah. To go from 13 to, I mean...
tenfold.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it.
You must take an element of pride in the fact that you helped build it.
Massive.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest element of pride in all of it is seeing people who I'd recruited into the business getting promoted.
Yeah.
Things like that.
That's great. So I'm guessing you've become a bit of a mentor to people within the business.
Yeah.
And you've guided their careers?
Yeah. I'd like to think so. I mean, mentoring is something that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I am a mentor for some within the RFM network, also for some building managers as well. And you know what? Mentoring, sometimes it's just sitting there and listening.
Yeah.
Allowing them to unload.
Yeah.
And chip in with the odd little bit, the odd little pearl of wisdom.
Exactly, yeah. A well-placed sentence at the right time.
Have you thought about...
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Right. That gives me a massive job satisfaction.
Yeah, so if you were to, give some advice to an individual that was either looking to get a mentor or looking to take their career forward and get some, I guess 360-degree feedback from an individual that could go on a journey with them, how would you advise them to go about doing that?
I think be open to anything and everything. Take advice from as many people as you can. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Get to understand the business that you're in, or if you're looking to get into a business, try and use the network that you've currently got to get an in with.
To expand it.
Facilities management has changed so much over the years. I think if you go back 15, 20 years, a facilities manager was seen as an ex-squaddy, an ex-copper, who was basically a caretaker.
Yes.
Who went round with a bunch of keys like a jailer.
Like a janitor or something. Yeah. Of course,
exactly.
That was the perception, wasn't it?
And that has changed so much. Facilities management is a career. You can study for a degree in facilities management now at university. So many younger people coming into the industry now. Yeah. So many more women coming into the industry, which is fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
We've got some absolutely amazing people within our business. Yeah. And an absolute great mix. Of cultures just.
But that's what you want, isn't it? Because then you get different ideas, you get different ways of doing things, you get different approaches, and
I still like the fact that yes, you've got this new intake of young, keen,
energetic,
all the things that
Same. I'm the same. I hurt myself getting out of bed this morning, mate. I've literally got a shoulder injury. so my best days are behind me,
But I still think you need the people to come in to the industry who've been doing something different.
Yeah, I do.
Because it brings so many different skill sets, knowledge. So we've got a lot of people who come in from mechanical and electrical background, people coming in from a security background. A heck of a lot more people now coming in from a hospitality background.
Yes. Well, we've noticed that as well, actually. Yeah.
And I think you've got two very distinct types of building manager nowadays. You've got the old school building manager who's got all the M&E, the technical knowledge. They know how a building works. They understand the infrastructure.
Yeah, they've got under the bonnet of the building. They get it.
Absolutely. Yeah. They haven't got the first idea about customer care and all that sort of thing. Almost the tenant in the building is a pain in the arse.
It's like hammer and nail, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Functional there, do a job.
Yeah. They're the people who break all my stuff. What are they doing in the building?
Yeah, exactly.
But then you've got those from the hospitality background, who know all about the customer experience. They know how to welcome the occupiers, the building users into the building. They do all the fluffy stuff brilliantly. But you know what? They haven't got the technical knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that's where companies are using, whether it's consultants, whether it's their own in-house mechanical and electrical expertise. I think that's the way that it probably is going to go.
Yeah. So basically bringing in these hospitality people and upskilling them to understand. Because the thing is, the way a building operates, there's so many different things to take into account. You know, air conditioning, BMS systems.
Especially post-COVID.
Yeah, post-COVID, without a doubt.
Because people are repurposing their offices. Yeah. It's not just 10 banks of 10 desks. You've got 100 people in that floor space.
Well, it's about the workspace now, isn't it?
It's all about the workspace. It's having that breakout area, that chill out area.
Foosball table.
Yeah.
Beanbags.
Yeah. Don't get me started, Mark. Don't get me started on that.
M&Ms and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it is true, I mean, I think post-COVID attitudes towards work have changed.
Yeah.
Because people's attitude, well, why do I need to come in? I can do it all here.
Yeah.
So it's gone from a scenario whereby everybody went into the office because everybody did 100 years ago. So we still do it now to a position whereby everybody was like, oh, hang on a second.
And it's funny because I've always been in the, I'd quite like to have a day working from home sort of thing. And it was a bit of a treat getting that. And now I absolutely hate it.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, get me back in the office because that's where you develop those relationships.
I do agree.
Where you might just be going down to the kitchen area to get a cup of coffee, but that's where you talk to somebody from another department.
Yeah.
You build those relationships. You get to know people.
You don't get that over Teams or Zoom, do you? I mean, you can have...
No.
But it's not the same.
No, you can be sat there in your boxers with a smart shirt on.
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly do that in the office.
No. Well, newsreaders have been doing it for 50 years, Tim, so,
Let's not get onto Hugh Edwards in this.
Exactly. Fair comment. But yeah, you are right. I think... mix, isn't it? And I think it's a conundrum that businesses are currently trying to solve.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't necessarily say anybody's got the right answer right now, but there's certainly a significant shift back to the office, I think. Yes. I think people have probably come to the same understanding that you have, whilst it's nice to work from home, I'd rather it was a bit of a treat.
Yeah, I mean, I think you still get the Monday and Friday scenario where a lot of people don't bother to come in on a Monday or a Friday or possibly even both.
Twats, as we call them. Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays.
Yeah. Well, I personally, I'm not a twat. I'm a what the fuck. I do Wednesday,
Thursday, Fridays. I've not heard that one yet, but I like that. I'm nicking that. Fair enough.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think some people ventured back into the office 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Then 2. Then a lot of bosses turned around and said, no, we need you in 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that sort of striking that happy medium. Is it a 3-2? Is it a 4-1?
Yeah.
But I certainly, I would say I'm more productive in the office.
Really?
Yeah. And I thought it would have been opposite because sat at home in my little garden office, I can just bang away all day. But you know what? It's boring.
Really?
It's boring, yeah. You need that. I need that interaction with other human beings.
Yeah, see, I've done it for about 12 years, where I'll work from home quite regularly, or then I'll be on site visits and things like that. Mm. But I still get that interaction because I'm yapping at people all day long on the phone, or I'm going on a site visit, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. So it's very unusual for me to see an office for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
But that's usually because I'm out and about hammering shoe leather.
Selling the dream.
Yeah, selling the dream. Well, I don't know about that. Trying my best, as some might say, Tim. Trying my best. But yeah, I mean, COVID wasn't a massive change for me.
Yeah.
Actually quite enjoyed it because I got to spend a lot of time with my kids and the wife and things like that, and still, potter about and do the work. So that was quite good for me because for me it was all like my working day was a mixture of admin, out doing meetings, site visits, things like that. Whereas I was doing the admin, which didn't take me that long, and then I could spend some quality time with the kids. So I actually quite enjoyed it.
Can you imagine that another COVID hits and they say, right, we're going into lockdown? I don't think people would put up with it.
No, people will go, no. Yeah. No chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
I'll take my chances.
Yeah, because they got it wrong. Yeah. That's the reality.
Yeah, they locked down too late.
And then we became a bloody ridiculous police state and, everybody was attacking each other. It just got a bit silly.
Yeah, people were going to supermarkets and nicking all the bog rolls.
I know. But I still don't understand why people did that. I do not get that.
Walking out with 6 packs of 48 bog rolls.
Exactly. Like, what are you doing? Firstly, if you don't get food and we run out, there's not going through your system anyway. You ain't going to need that. Get yourself. I see. Do you know what? Do you know what I did when that happened? Right. I grew up in Yorkshire, so I know how to hunt. I know how to. I can catch my own food. I can grow my own stuff and things like that. I went out and bought lots of seeds. I literally did. Bought tomato seeds. I bought this seed. I bought that seed. I didn't plant any of it. I want to see what was happening, but I knew I had them just in case.
He lived in a flat at the time. Walks in the front room. Tomatoes growing out by the settee.
Exactly, yeah. UV lights everywhere. Cops knocked the door down because I thought I had a grow house. But, yeah. Anyway, shouldn't say grow house on a podcast, should you? It's
no,
a bit naughty.
Definitely not me.
Okay, well, listen, let's talk about some of the pertinent issues sort of affecting FM now and get your view on it. ESG, obviously you've seen the start of it and we're right now ramping up with regards to the environmental, social and governance. Where do you see it going? Because obviously,
it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's been a real game changer. I think people, people's perception of ESG right at the start was, it's just a fad.
Yeah.
It's something that somebody's got the knickers in a twist about, and it's just a fad. Do you know what? It's absolutely massive. For me personally, the social value piece.
I agree.
Is the main thing. It's not just how we treat the people we work with, the people we work for, but also. And it sounds a bit sycophantic and all that, but it's the community. It's people in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's giving everybody those same opportunities.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I do some work with a charity involved in trying to help ex-offenders.
Right.
It's a foundation called the 101st.
And is that to get them into work and things like that?
Yeah. And we work with service partners to try and give them those opportunities. It was a charity that's set up by a former England rugby player,
right?
Guy called Will Fraser.
I know Will. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Played for Saracens.
Yeah.
Although when I say played for Saracens, probably spent more time in the physio's room being treated for injuries than actually playing. But it's a fantastic charity to work with, and they're making a real difference.
Yeah.
How
have you seen that in terms of that being integrated into your business across service partners? Has it been successful?
There's been some that have absolutely worked.
Yeah.
There's been some that haven't worked.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I don't knock the ones who it hasn't worked for.
Well, sometimes it's just not right, is it?
Yeah. Sometimes personal circumstances mean that it's just not going to work. For others, they've absolutely embraced it. You've got to get buy-in from a good service partner. Got to get the buy-in from the Savills team that they're going to be working with.
Yeah.
or sorry, any FM.
Any FM team, yeah.
This is something that I'd like to see across the whole industry. That we get more involved in. You've got to get the buy-in from occupiers within the building. Yeah, and you've got to get buy-in from the client.
Yes.
And we've been sort of quite transparent about it, making sure that all of those people are invested in making it a success. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, when we first started, we would wake up in cold sweats in the middle of the night thinking
just in case
we're going to go into the building and find everything's been taken out of the building. Which is stupid. But
it's an irrational fear, but a natural one. Yeah. It's a natural one that we all have because we've all experienced either someone that's let us down, stolen from us, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So you naturally think because someone's been in prison, but sometimes people end up in prison for different reasons. Yeah, you know, but absolutely, should their lives be ruined because they made a mistake when they were 19 or 18 or whatever?
By the grace of God, go you and I.
Exactly.
Well, everybody comes to that crossroads at some point, and most people turn right as they should. Yeah. Some will turn left.
Exactly.
And it doesn't work out.
No, I agree.
The cost of keeping people within the prison system
is ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And as such, I think anything that we can do to help them not reoffend and go back in again. I mean, when a prisoner gets released, they get something like £40. Yeah. Now, if they and a train warrant back to wherever they're going. They get back there. The first thing they have to do is they have to go to the council and try and get on, or try and get
somewhere to live. Yeah.
Well, generally that ain't going to happen.
No.
With the 40 quid, they may buy a little tent. Yeah. What do they do then? Exactly. They've got no money for food, anything like that.
Well, this is
so you get into that circle of reoffending.
Yeah. I mean, my wife was a prison officer for years.
Right.
For a long, long time. A category A prison.
She got used to people.
She did get used to people like me, exactly. You know what I mean? That's why I was able to sell her the dream. But like, you know, what she used to say, and it's true, you know, a lot of the people that are in these facilities and things like that have a better standard of living in a prison than they do in their own life outside of prison. So from their perspective,
they've got structure as well. They know what they're going to be doing.
And 3 meals a day, water, heating, beds, you know, it's clean, it's this, it's that. So they have all of the things that, you know, most people have in their lives. But, you know, some people born into certain situations don't have that. So it's easy for them to go, I'll just go to nick something and I'll end up back inside and at least I'm warm tonight, you know, rather than going down a different route.
Well, I mean, your wife will know from having worked in prisons, but myself and Andy Jackson, the first time we went down to a prison, and it was an old Victorian prison.
Which one was it?
HMP Portland.
Oh, really?
The young offenders one. Not the Gary Glitter one.
Oh, right, okay. You're not the Gary Glitter one.
Because there are two, Jack.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there are. Yeah.
But yeah, it was the young offenders one.
Right.
And literally my abiding memory from that was clank, door open, slam shut. Yeah. Walk forward 10 paces, key opens the door. Yeah. Bang, slam. Yeah. And that was my abiding memory of that. And you look at the rooms that they're in, the cells. Yeah. Well, that cell that Ronnie Barker and what was his name?
The great train robber Ronnie Barker.
No, the comedian Porridge.
And the guy that died.
Yeah.
Kate Beckinsdale's dad.
Yeah. Richard
Beckinsdale, that's it. Yeah.
The size of that cell, that's a luxury.
Yeah.
That cell was massive.
Yeah.
Compared to
what they actually have.
Yeah. And then we've also been to a more modern prison as well. And it's still a prison.
Yeah.
No matter what the facilities, etc.
Yeah.
Are like. But yeah, no. So that's the social value piece. I think is massive.
That's certainly a worthwhile project. I'd like to learn more about that. Actually.
Yeah. I'll share some details with you on that. But I think social value is also extends into the workplace as well, in making sure that you're giving opportunities, equal opportunities for people to progress within business, looking after
of course,
your staff, paying them the right rate.
Yes.
A massive advocate of London Living Wage.
Exactly the same.
It says 100%. But and employing people from local areas.
Yes.
If you've got a job in Romford, well, employ people from Romford.
Yes.
They're not having to spend half their wages to get across London.
Completely agree,
to do that.
Yeah. We have very similar principles, to be fair. We do very similar things, which is important. Okay, so, if you could in a time machine, 12 years, that first day when you start with Savills, but you know what you know now, what would you do differently, if anything?
Do you know what? I don't think I'd do very much differently at all. I've been incredibly lucky. I've had some incredibly supportive line managers, a very progressive, forward-thinking head of department. I don't know. I don't think I'd do anything differently.
Right, okay. That's good, though. No regrets, mate. No regrets.
Absolutely no regrets at all.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've done a lot of jobs in the time, as I mentioned, but it felt, once again, it felt like home. It feels like a family.
But that's the main thing, isn't it?
It's a family that I've enjoyed being part of.
Oh, fantastic.
And one that I'm going to miss massively.
Yeah.
Come towards the end of this year when I step away and retire.
Well, it sounds like you deserved it, though, Tim. You know, I'm sure we'll see you back in some capacity at some stage.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
So you're not really retiring, are
you? No. Yes, I am. In the fact that I won't be employed by Savills anymore.
Yeah. Coming to a working men's club near you soon. The Tim Birley experience.
Yeah, as long as it's not the chubby brain experience.
I can tell you a story about him, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Not fit for the podcast, though.
No, I bet it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. If I had my time to do all over again, I've never been one who's looked back and thought, I wish I'd done that differently.
Yeah.
I just find it counterproductive. I'd rather look forward.
Yeah.
Because if I look back, I think 1 divorce, 2 divorces, 3 divorces. Oh my God, what are you doing, man?
1 divorce, 2 divorce, 3.
Yeah. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato. Yeah. And things work out as they're meant to be.
They do, don't they? Yeah. No, I completely agree.
No point in looking back with regrets or anything like that.
Yeah. So what's the single piece of advice you would give to any young person or individual wanting to move into facilities management? After all your experience, all the years, what's the one thing you would say to them if they were sat in front of you?
It'd probably be more than one thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always said is treat people how you'd like to be treated yourself.
Yeah.
Treat people with respect. Listen to advice that you get.
Yeah.
Ideally have a clear idea of where you want to get to.
Yeah.
Do attend every training course possible.
Yeah. So expand your learning whenever you get the opportunity.
Which is something that I've always been terrible at.
Yeah.
I hate training courses.
Right.
But do see massively the value of them for expanding your knowledge, expanding your skill set, and be open.
Yeah.
Be open to new ideas. Be a communicator. Be a people person. It gives you so much.
Yeah.
And coming into facilities management, there's no finer career. I don't think no 2 days are ever the same.
Yeah, I would agree completely.
And it's something that I wish I'd got into earlier.
Right. Well, that's high praise. You can't say much better than that, to be fair. The other thing about it, there's so many different routes you can take within FM from a career perspective, isn't there? It's not just you manage a building. There's so many other facets associated, estate management.
Yeah,
lots of
even more so now, I think, because of sustainability, ESG, etc. Health and safety. There are so many different avenues. You come into a property management, such as Savills, JLL, CBRE,
of course,
etc. There are so many different other facets of property that you can move into. You can go down the surveying route, etc. As well.
Yeah, lots of options, which is great. Well then, Tim, we're getting close to the end of the podcast. So tell us a little bit about you. What do you like to do outside of work? What do you relax? What do you do when you're not?
I attempt to play a little bit of golf badly.
Right. What's your handicap?
20.
20. I don't play. I think I'd be crap at it.
On a good day, probably 16. On a bad day, girls handicap at 36.
What's yours, Eve? Nothing.
Yeah, you probably find he's a little bandit, and I'll say, "Come on, then, let's go have a game of golf," and he'll wipe the floor with me. What else do I do? I suppose it's a bit might sound. Well, I like spending time with family. I've got a couple of grandkids who live up in Yorkshire.
Oh, whereabouts?
Doncaster, Westwood side. Sort of
God's own county.
County.
Yeah.
And then my partner's got 5 grandkids as well. So we got 7 grandkids between us.
So expensive Christmas then?
Expensive December and January, because 4 of the birthdays are in January.
Oh, no way.
And Christmas is, December and January, and then Christmas as well.
That sounds like my May. To be fair. But that's good news.
But I'm looking forward to, I love my holidays. So I'm sort of known as the Judith Chalmers of Savills.
The Judith Chalmers of FM.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, I like. I net to my normal colouring, which is mahogany.
Right. Okay.
A little bit sort of light oak at the moment. So I got some days planned.
You got to sort that job out, haven't you, Tim?
Yeah.
To be fair.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. How did you find it? Did you enjoy it?
Do you know what? It was. It was really good. I quite enjoyed. I don't think I'd enjoy talking about it myself, but it's quite cathartic, actually.
Well, there you go, mate. I'm basically a psychologist. You know what I mean? So.
God, I'm not having to pay you for this, am I?
We'll find out in the pub later, mate. All right, Tim. Well, listen, thank you very much for firstly taking your time to come and contribute to the show. We really appreciate it. I'm sure if anybody wants to reach out to you on LinkedIn, you would be happy for them to do so.
More than happy, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, thank you for joining us. Absolutely fantastic.
Very much indeed, young man.
All right, guys, that's the end of another show. Thank you for the young man, by the way. I don't get that very often.
No, that's where I get the tenor back, isn't it?
There we go, guys. That's another show. Absolutely great to have Tim join us today. Obviously very well known within the industry, with a lot of knowledge. So thank you very much, Tim, and we will see you next time. And remember, as ever, if you can't be good, be bad. See you later.